Yo guys, what's good? Az here once again. The mana and the break system are very essential parts of the gameplay. Because they can get a little confusing, let's talk about it. This will be the first video in the series of beginner guides which explain basic game mechanics. The next video will be about the different status effects, so stay tuned for that. You can review all this information by going to Help and Battle Guide. Let's start off with the mana system. In Exos Heroes, your heroes are divided into 4 different types. Attack and Chaos. Every time these heroes successfully hit with their basic attack, they gain 1 mana. This is really important because the opponent can dodge or block and your hero won't gain mana. Defense and Support types. These types generate mana when they get attacked. Regardless if you get hit or your hero manages to dodge or block, you will gain 1 mana. Now to the elemental types of mana gain. One really important thing to note is that your hero needs to be of 5-star or higher to gain these bonus effects. Below 5-star, they will simply gain mana from their type and their passive, so make sure to bless those heroes up to 5-star. Let's start off with Fire. An extra mana point is generated when allies or enemies land a critical hit. I think this ability gets stronger the further on you progress in the game. Especially in PvP, critical hits occur very frequently. This also combines very nicely with the Fire Break effect. We will talk about that a little bit later. I think this is the strongest mana gain of them all. There are some heroes who will have a super easy time triggering this effect for you. Let me quickly show you. Let's go to the journal. Most of them are of the Chaos type. 280 crit on Janai, 280 on Baelish, 280 on Valentina, and Metron also has 280. So even legendaries have this really high crit hit. Metron was the only one I quickly found, but there's probably more. Check your roster if you might have some. Okay, let's continue with the elements again. So in Frost, the character gains 1 mana point after successfully blocking either from an ally or an enemy. Another ability that progressively becomes stronger the better you gear your champions. However, it's kind of hard to trigger on your own due to the random nature of blocks. There are ways to increase your chances with abilities to increase block, but it's nothing you can 100% rely on. Next up we have Nature. If there are heroes who have 30% HP or less at the start of their turn, the Nature element will generate 1 mana point. This one is a little bit iffy. From my testing so far, the below 30% HP applies to all heroes, although from the text it seems to be only for the Nature hero itself. Mytalia always gains mana if there's a hero below 30%, but there might be something else going on, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, this ability is a nice bonus to have, but nothing you can rely on or even trigger yourself. Especially with passives that proc once the hero is at 10% or lower, it can be dangerous to leave your heroes exposed like that. There might be a way to cheese some things, however your mileage may vary. Machine types generate 1 mana point if their HP is at 80% or higher at the start of their turn. Having spoken about one of the iffier mana gains, here we have in my opinion a contender for the strong one. In most cases, either through heals or your unit being the fastest, you can guarantee the mana gain. Fast attackers can really shine with this, especially if you can provide them with additional mana from Bathory or Rachel, for example. Heroes that shine are, for example, Jhin and Baraka. The light one is really interesting because it permanently increases your mana, so you will always have 1 mana as long as all your allies are alive. This means you can spam abilities as much as you want. This is super awesome with nukes, stuns or heals, so if you can combine this with some additional effects, you can have more additional mana, which makes it basically a spam fest for you. Pretty awesome this one. For Darkness, the hero generates 1 mana point per defeated ally on their squad at the beginning of their turn. So this is kind of the opposite of the light mana gain. It's fairly niche, but you might be able to use it to your advantage as well. So let's say you put your attack units with really low HP, defense, let them die, then let your dark unit wreak havoc. Afterwards, you revive your units, and there's several revivers which only need 3 mana for a revive. But again, This is fairly niche and I haven't experimented with it myself, but maybe food for thought? Alright, so now that we know all about mana gains, let's jump straight into breaking enemies. What does breaking do, you might ask? It's really simple. A broken enemy will be stunned for 7 turns by default and receive double the final damage. You can break them if you successfully hit an enemy with the same type as their stone is. Depending on the element type of the last Guardian Stone you broke, additional effects occur. Let's go over them. For fire, all subsequent attacks on the enemy become critical hits. As mentioned in the mana gain section before, this synergies so well with fire types. Not only do your heroes deal additional damage, but if they are of the fire type, they will also gain an insane amount of mana. Pretty ridiculous. When the last stone you broke is of the frost element, all damage will ignore armor while the enemy is broken. Depending on other stones available, like this can be either a good one or a not so good one. It really depends on your hero lineup. So, nature again, I have kind of mixed feelings about this one. Let's go over it. So, the target receives periodic damage on each turn that they are stunned, and this damage scales with their maximum HP. So the really good thing is, it occurs every time a turn ticks, not just when it's their turn. This makes it really amazing on bosses or other high health targets, so really great for PvE. In PvP, however, while sometimes it can help you, with the current Dragonblood meta, it probably hurts you more than you want. Let me go a little bit more into detail in this one, because it can be potentially hurtful for you. So as you know, Dragonblood scales and Wrath trigger every time the enemy takes damage, regardless if they are broken or not. If the damage over time doesn't kill them, it will rather strengthen the opponents by giving them a barrier and retaliate with Wrath. So for PvP, it's advisable avoiding breaking with the nature element if the target is of the Dragon Emperor's FC. However, this doesn't mean you shouldn't bring nature element heroes into your party. Of course bring them. I'm just talking about the break here. If you go on in later stages in the arena, most heroes will have multiple stones, so you won't have to worry using attack to break them accidentally, but be wary that the last stone you break shouldn't necessarily be of the nature type. Machine, probably one of my favorites. The enemy will remain in break status for 5 additional turns. I mostly use this when a unit presents a threat, but doesn't immediately need to be taken out. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory. So the light one is pretty interesting. Those who attack the target with break will recover HP equal to 30% of the damage dealt. In 9 out of 10 cases I wouldn't choose this over the fire and darkness, however there are some instances where I really want this in order to heal my attackers up. It's kind of a yay or nay. And last up we have darkness, a really simple one. Attackers generate 1 extra mana when attacking the target with break. If there's no firestone to break, then this is probably the second best choice for me, and it doesn't even have to hit. You just attack and you gain mana. Simple as that. Alright, so that's it for the breaks as well. I've prepared a clip for you to show you how mana gain and breaks work in action. So let's jump over to that one. Alright, so here we are at the core rate that the game currently has, and as you can see the mana stones are darkness, metal and fire. My team, I can break any stones with these 2 rats as long as they have the Tranquil from Bathory. My Sabrina is here to break the last fire stones because a lot of the times these 2 rats get under fire and they can't break anymore, so it's good for me to have a fire attacker here. And then I have a healer in Talia. So let's jump right into it. I think I had set this fight to auto, yes. So we will just go frame by frame and then you can see what's happening exactly. Okay, so because of my Bathory, everybody gained 1 mana, so this is one of the passive effects. Everybody in the front row gained 1 mana, right? Then my rat, he attacked with an auto attack and he is of the chaos type. So he will get an additional mana, as you can see here. My second rat does the same. And Sabrina, she uses her S1 and it cost 1 mana, but she will always have 1 mana from Battery. So she basically lost 1 mana or used 1 mana for nothing. And then here I actually switched off to regular mode, and let me quickly move forward so you can see more of the action here. Okay, there I break. Okay, so here you can see that the boss is broken and it's of the darkness type, and as we learned before, we will gain 1 mana for an attack. It doesn't mean it has to be an auto attack, it can be any attack, and it doesn't necessarily have to hit. The attacker will just gain 1 mana. So in this instance, I think we're using the auto attack of Sabrina. So she will get 1 from that because she is of the attack type, and she will gain another mana from attacking a darkness break. So, and let's go. Okay. So finally I managed to attack, and here you can see there's the 1 mana gain that I get from attacking a darkness type, and then at the end you can see here 1 more mana, and here added 2 from being an attack type. So while looking for the block, we actually transitioned into the next phase, which is now of the metal type. So in the metal type, as explained earlier, we increased the break time by 5 turns. And you can see this here. Instead of 7, it was 12, and we already used up 1 turn by getting Sabrina's turn. Here you can see what happens on a block because Battery is an ice type. So as you can see here, the enemy blocked and Battery's mana is at 6, and boom, it increased just like that. Pretty awesome, right? In case you wonder why she got 2 mana, it's because she is also an attack type, so she gets an additional mana. And now you can see that every hit will be a critical hit. And check Sabrina's mana out. So here we get a crit hit, and Sabrina gained 1 mana just because she is of the fire type, and she will gain mana according to having crits, right, on the enemies or allies. So that's pretty awesome. Even if she's not broken, as long as I do a crit here, just check Sabrina. Sabrina always gets mana. So those are the different types. And I hope this kind of helped you visualize how the different break systems work, what you want to prioritize, and how mana gain functions. So before I sign this one off, I want to mention that I'm well aware that you don't always have the choice with the last stone that you have to break. There are many variables like the enemy dodging, blocking, your hero not having a way to skip a turn, or simply that there is just 1 stone type to break. But if you have the choice, then it becomes important to know what the implications are. With that all said, I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something along the way. Give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. As always, I will see you in the next one, and until then, enjoy the grind.